All right, all right. Welcome back, everyone. I'm not supposed to do the introduction. This is supposed to be a joint production. Let me just say, one of the greatest pleasures of doing what we're doing is to collaborate with different folks. Speaking of collaboration, tonight, lalabas na yung episodes natin with the Cool Pals, and more importantly, with Harry P. Right? Yung isa sa mga pinakakamukha ni Harry Roque, no? Na sinasabi niya, wala naman siyang sinasabi kay Harry Roque. So, maraming mga bully time and maraming mga interesting discussion, including the manhunt, the ongoing manhunt for Harry Roque as we speak. Now, today kasama ko ngayon si Chris Tan. Yan, isa sa mga favorite collaborators natin. Thank you very much, Chris, for joining us rather than me.
Thanks, Richard. You know, it's always good to collaborate with you and other vloggers because we get to hear different perspectives. And I always am curious about your perspective, especially nowadays with a lot of the things that are happening on social media. No? Malalang social media now no, compared to before. No? It's really a predominant space where discussions happen. So it's interesting.
Yeah, fantastic. Well. Maybe if you were active during Duterte time as much as we were, you would know that it was actually worse. So all the bashing I'm getting from kakamping friends is nothing compared to the death threats and everything we're getting in the past. But first, before we go to the whole, that Shimenot situation, let's talk about Alice Go. So as we speak, a while ago, there were, I think Alice Go pushed for an executive session. I think Risa was able to corner her enough to perhaps move towards divulgence of some really legit golden information. What is your take, Chris? You're the resident Alice Go expert.
Alam mo, tingin ko, right now, with Alice Go, I think she's really going to be looking for a way out. Kasi she knows she's gonna go to jail. The charges are pretty heavy. And, if she gets charged with, I'm sorry, not charged, if she gets convicted with all those charges, malamang she's gonna be in jail for the rest of her life. So this is a way out for her to be able to get some leniency and lessen the actual jail time. But for her to say she's a victim, she's looking to be able to appeal to the humanity of the senators. Kasi yung pagkasabi niya victim, it's not true because remember, she was involved with a lot of the decision making, the money transfers in the millions, hundreds of millions. You don't do that if you're just the utusan. Okay, the amount of money she was handling, the lifestyle she led, all of those things. So she is beyond a victim. So let's just get that clear. And I hope na hindi na uto yung mga senador dahil dito sa pagsabi ni Alice Guo that she's just going to go into an executive session to say who the mastermind is. She already said before they went into executive session na alam naman daw nila na kung sino yung big boss. Oh, you be the judge. Who do you think the big boss is? We all know who the big boss is. The elusive Chinese person that by the name of Wang Ziyang. It's so obvious. But the thing is she literally just a victim out of this? I don't think so. I think she's really a co-conspirator and one of the masterminds in this syndicate. So, baka lalaglag na lang niya yung business partner niya, tapos sabi niya, ikaw na, you take the fall, I don't want to take the fall. Or was she threatened? I don't know. But what new evidence is going to be able to give the senators that they don't already know? Unless she's willing to testify and show all the documentary evidence needed, including, of course, her corroborative witness statements to be able to really pin down people, then it could be acceptable. But, to make her a witness, I don't know. I think there's enough evidence against her and against Wang Ziyang that they don't need to make her a witness and they should just charge her to the full extent of the law.
Right. So obviously we're talking about the end game here, Chris. I want to ask you, compared to the last time we talked, that was a little earlier in the year, but also compared to before nung tumakas siya and then nung nahuli siya at pinabalik siya, what are the new things that have come to light, or what are the things that have made you rethink some of your earlier assumptions about who she is and what she has been doing?
As a matter of fact, Richard, if you look at it, there was nothing new that made me rethink. As a matter of fact, it reinforced a lot of the things that we thought about Alice Guo before she escaped. Tapos lahat yon turned out to all be true. And the sad part is, I mean, if you did you spend the time watching the 10, 11 hours in Congress and another 7, 8 hours in Senate that she was there? And all along, she kept repeating the exact same script. Paulit-ulit. It was like a broken record. It was so difficult to watch. It was like watching a rerun that got so tired after the third episode. Yun eh. So I'm so glad na this was the last episode na of the Senate hearing. Aren't you? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, medyo I think some people are overjuicing it out, and tsaka dami mga Johnny come latelys na ume-epal lang.
Ayun.
Yeah. Speaking of epal, what about the Cassie Ong situation? I think the epal situation there is even more worrying. I mean, some of the congressmen are openly flirting with this person and asking her about kailan siya nagpakulay ng hair. I mean, like, this is so unbecoming. I mean, it's shameless. I mean, we thought the fan meet between Abalos, supposedly fan meet, we thought that was crazy, but some of the videos I'm seeing on TikTok, because I'm becoming more active on TikTok, it's insane. They make love team, katandem,
Mm.
Cassie Ong and some of these congressmen. It's insane.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I think to begin with, kasi Dan Fernandez has been known to be a little bit of a womanizer. And he's I think there's rumors spreading, which I think is true naman, that he's with Ivana Alawi. Is that the name? Ivana Alawi, right?
Ganyan yung shades pa niya, di ba?
Oh,
Naka-perfect.
di ba? The rose-colored glasses, the jacket, the hair, former was he a former porn star? Pero honestly, for me,
Sabi ba Max guy ba yan?
or basta he used to be in the movies, I think, if I remember correctly, or TV shows. Pero for me, um sana lang they do have proper decorum when they're in such a serious issue. Kasi remember this, we're talking about human trafficking, we're talking about murder. We're talking about the perpetrators of murder, torture, all the heinous crimes you can imagine. And because they see a young woman, they now treat her with kids' gloves. Again, like you said, medyo nagfo-flirt pa nga ng konti to si Dan Fernandez. Buti na lang, nako-call out siya ng fellow congressmen niya at saka ng mga iba't ibang mga kongresista, and some of them were at least more dignified. Kasi honestly, as much as yeah, you want to kind of joke around a bit maybe, but when you're talking about such a serious matter which affects all of us, that talagang you have to have the proper decorum when you do that. That's why I admire and I want to shout out to Representative Jinky Luistro for doing that. Even to all the young congresistas, sina Gutierrez, sina was it Akbayan one, and si
Yung mga kabayan ko
yeah, and basta several of them, all the young guns. It's pretty admirable how they're conducting themselves. So, yeah, which is good. Did my video? Okay, I thought my video froze there for a second. So yeah, it's cringy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy, but more isolated case, diba? In a sense, and in fairness, there have been more good than bad in terms of the hearings. I think you and Mark were among the first to argue also based on your observation na parang matino ang Congress ngayon compared sa dati. And Senate yung medyo sablay with of course, the great exception of Risa and Sherwin and some of this fight, right? Wala kang urge, wala kang pulveronic hearings, some of the clown show we're seeing with the Robin Hoods and Batos.
It is so sad watching the Senate right now, where it used to be the halls of justice talaga, and you see dignified discussions and debates, real debates. Now intellectual discourse. Now we have circuses, we have comedy shows. It's ridiculous. And alam mo, kung hindi matuto pa ang mga Pilipino para i-improve talaga yung pagboboto natin, it's gonna get worse. Did you see the lineup of the PDP, the Duterte's lineup, and also the Marcos's lineup? Oh my God, shameful. I don't know what to say. That's why Congress ay mas magaling, dahil Congress is not reliant on popularity alone to be able to get votes. There are a lot of other criterias kasi you're talking about a smaller constituent within your area. You have to be able to touch lives and be able to connect with them. Unlike when you talk about the national scene, Senate, talagang popularity yan. Sinong mas sikat, yun na yun eh. And that's what's causing this problem right now that we have. And I have to add that, so, ang galing ni Risa at Sherwin. And then, when you compare now how the congresistas are doing it, Oh my God, the way the line of questioning, and then you compare how they question Alice Go, the way they question Cassie Ong, you saw the huge difference, and how, man, Luistro, wow, I admire that woman when she first came out of the scene. Who was it that she first interpolated that
She caught Harry Roque's nonsense.
oh,
Yung Speed Games yan.
there.
Yeah.
Di ba galing lang kasi si Harry Roque sa Senate tapos binarabaran niya si Risa. Pagdating dito, tamime siya kay Luis. I was like, damn, what a takedown. That was really good. And
Check
that's
mo
why
agad.
ako naman, as much as I will criticize when I need to, I will also praise, politicians and government officials when they need to be praised. Now, I have to say that what's interesting for me and what's happening now is that nakita mo that effective si Luistro, nakita mo na effective si Acop, si Abante, si Castro, si Gutierrez. You know why? Because now the trolls are actively on social media attacking all of them.
Yeah, I saw the Abante ones, no? I mean, some nasty, nasty stuff going on there. Yeah, the memes against him, no?
Yeah. Pero Richard, for me ganito. Listen, if there's some truth to it, let it come out. If there's truth to it. But making an allegation, it's there, but show the evidence. Because if there is truth to it, I'd want to know, and there should be a proper forum
Demolition
for
job,
it.
man. We know this is demolition job. Nagsilabas
Yeah.
ng mga trolls bigla eh. Mukhang may budget na ulit eh. Kasi I've seen some of my posts from months earlier, biglang ang dami mga nagko-comment na 0 followers, 5 followers, or ito yung bago, no, locked accounts. Parang uso ngayon ang nagla-lock ng account na nag-post. Kasi sabi, may budget na naman tong mga to eh. But
Yeah.
I feel much better now. I think mas may laban na tayo compared sa past. During Duterte time, it was really out of nowhere. And of course, there were the powers that be. Last question on the Alice Go before we transition. We have a cast of characters we have to go to. I want to go to Harry Roque also and get your point of view. Our X-Men edition. Sorry, our ex-human rights lawyer edition. Hindi sa akin yan. Si Secretary Llamas yan. Bro, so do you still think she's a spy, or do you think she's just a high-level syndicate people? Etong mga Alice Go people. Because
Uh,
you used to be more adamant on that issue than some of the other people I've talked to.
Yeah, I don't think she's a spy. I think she's afraid to go back to China because I think she will go to jail. These are big time syndicates. All of them are. Look at the backgrounds of all their partners. Cassie Ong's partner, actually, excuse me, her godfather. Okay, let's take out the God word. I think it's her father. Tatay niya yun eh. If you think about it, the mother died. She lived with Duan Renwu, and then she has a boyfriend, Wesley Go, and then even at her young age, she was pretty much the right hand of Duan Renwu when it comes to the Lucky South 99. How else do you explain somebody so young being able to have that much power and to be able to move around that much money, to have that much money going around? It's crazy. And you look into the eyes of Cassie Ong. That girl is wow. That's a psychotic person right there. Okay, social
Baby
psychopath. That's a
narcos.
psychopath.
Parang mga baby narcos sa Mexico, di ba? Yung mga
Yeah.
bata-bata pa lang, syndicate boss na, di ba?
Yes, oo, ganun to. And Alice Go is the same. They come from the exact same mold. Now, that's why I think, talagang ang galing lang nila magpaikot-ikot ng mga lalaki na kaya nilang utuin from all the high officials, high-ranking officials. And I have to add that, yeah, kaya yung mga ganyan, di ba? And I have to add that, kanina na nabanggit nung kapatid ni Michael Yang na kakilala niya si Acorda, former PNP Chief Acorda. Now, you've heard that name
Grabe, di ba?
because, yeah, there was a photo with Kalugay, with Acorda, with Wesley Go in the back. And then, remember, na nabanggit nung PAGCOR executive that there was a former PNP chief that helped Alice Go escape. And Alice Go knows Acorda. So Acorda knows all the Pogo players and all those different people. And he's a former PNP chief. I guess doesn't take a rocket scientist to put two and two together. Is it possible that Acorda is the one they're referring to that made all this money from Pogos and from all these illegal activities and from all these criminals? Very possible.
Narcos Philippine series na to, no? I mean, my goodness, there's so many characters. Ako kasi I was really, I won't say impressed is the right word, the way like Alice Go immediately imposed, her position nung papunta si Abalos sa kanya. Abalos was going like that. Immediately went, Sir, di ba nagpicture na tayo, hindi siya na he was locked, di ba? He was immediately locked. Ah, ganun ba? Ganun, and then, ikaw naman, di ba? So, that was very skillful to me. So, these are manipulator,
Yes.
masters of manipulation, right? And you're right, you don't need to be a spy. In fact, Justice Carpio also said many syndicate people are experts in psychological manipulation. She seemed very well trained. Kasi 10 times ko binalikan yung body language, domination of space, imposition of the terms of engagement. Galing. Totally na-box out niya, tsaka na-box in niya yung mga katapat niya. Now, let's talk about Harry Roque. He doesn't look very professional in certain sense of the word. I mean, he looks like a smart guy, Pisay, UP Law, University of Michigan. I mean, on CV, he's a very smart guy, academically at least. But he doesn't seem to be very good in, like, covering his tracks. Now, I mean, what is your whole read of this supranational level of engagements and all?
Alam mo, I was gonna say nga that actually I noticed that the people that surround Duterte are all not, they're all very simple-minded. I don't look at
Amateur
them as
hour.
very, di ba? They're not very sophisticated, di ba? When it comes to the thought process or the planning, makalat, madumi sila magplano. Not a lot of depth into how they put things
But
together.
maybe, Chris, sorry for cutting. Maybe this is what the Italians say, the fish rots from the head. So maybe being around Digong has a shunga effect. Like it brings down
No,
your processing power.
or it's just more the fact that you're sanasanay kayo lahat being yes men and people being yes men around you. Pag walang kumukontra talaga sa'yo, it dulls you. That's the problem eh. So, Harry Roque right now, the main problem that Harry Roque has is he kept bragging about submission of all these documents. I will submit this, I will submit that. And now sinabi, asan na? Zero submission. Now, remember, he was one of the biggest campaign donors for Sara Duterte. He gave, how much was it? 33 million, if I remember correctly. Or was it?
Contributors, yeah.
It was big. It was massive. So for me, how was he able to donate that much to Sara's campaign? And why would he give that much to Sara's campaign? That's interesting. Where did the money come from and why was it given to Sara's campaign?
Pinaghirapan niya, nagturo siya sa UP Law. I mean,
Yun!
journal articles, he works for human rights groups. I'm sure, the people who work in those circles make easily millions of dollars. Obviously, I'm being sarcastic dyan lang, hindi nagets ng
For the
tao.
ones that don't know, yeah, that's sarcasm right there. Yeah,
Wait,
so
just in case hindi nagets ng tao yung sarcasm.
Pero yeah, like, yun naman lang talagang importante. If you can connect the money trail to the POGOs, I mean, that's it. You're done for. But even if you don't, Harry Roque is still committed if you can just show that it was ill-gotten wealth, automatically that those are cases that can be filed against him. So either way, he's so in trouble for what's going on and the coincidences of the fugitive that was living in his house, the tenant herself that was in the house that signed the lease agreement that's also wanted by the PAOK, and also of course his connection with Cassie Ong, with Lucky South 99, all of these things. Wow, they're all what? Mere coincidences? How convenient for him, right? So wala na siyang takas dito eh. At first I was willing to give him a chance na, hey, listen, if he just represented, he was just signed on, I think that's okay. But when you saw how deep it is, you're like, okay, sandali lang. I'm not the type kasi that easily just listens to an accusation and just accepts it as it is. So I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. But the deeper it got, and when Luistro started interpolating, then I realized, uy, wow, malalim to ah. And that's it.
Going deep, bro, I want to ask you, what about Mr. Supra? How deep do you think he went in terms of involvement in this whole?
Not much, dude. I do you really believe he went pretty deep? I mean, I feel bad for the guy. He seems like a really nice guy that just
He had like 9 foreign trips for free, 3 million pesos na pwede na I'll tell you, bro, if you have a friend that can withdraw from your, I don't know, conjugal account anytime, ano bang terms of engagement?
Well, listen, I have no qualms with whatever their term of engagement is. If let's say for example Harry Roque, I mean, it comes across that he's gay, I don't want to make an issue out of it, and I don't think anyone should. I think that's his personal matter. It could have been a girl, it could have been a guy. I think the more important issue is not that he had an extramarital affair with a guy, but the fact that he did have an extramarital
Yeah,
affair,
exactly. I mean, like,
right? That's the more important
grounds for
question.
disbarment din kasi yan. I mean, these are serious stuff, allegations against him. But you watch the nag-breakdown si Mr. Supra, di ba? I mean,
Yeah.
that guy was not
Uh,
prepared. This is big league stuff. He just
yeah,
got
I feel again, I feel bad for him. I really think he was just a kid who needed the money. And
tagged
this is
along.
yeah, and powerful guy. Inalok siya, come with me, go travel. He's never traveled probably before much in his life. He got to travel. He has money. He was able to go to flying school. So all he thinks is, oh, this is good. I have a good life. He stayed in the in freaking Lucky South 99, where all of the crime was happening around him. I think the guy is just clueless. I would feel bad for him if he ended up going to jail because of this. I really don't think he has anything to do or plan to this. He's just literally a boy Friday that was just doing whatever the wishes of Harry Roque wants.
So Chris, just to be clear, you are very critical of Cassie Ong, but very soft on Mr. Supra. I wonder why. No, I'm just kidding, bro. I'm just messing around. Well, okay. Wala akong
But
sinasabi, Chris.
wait,
You're the one spilling the beans. I'm just
yeah,
asking question. I'm an
yeah, but
innocent man asking
uh,
innocent.
sige, let me ask you the question. I mean, do you think ba si Mr. Supra AR de la Serna actually has an involvement in Pogo beyond what the optics are?
I'm having a hard time imagining he had no idea. I think it would be quite an insult to the guy to think he doesn't even have the bare minimum intelligence to figure out. I mean, if he has enough IQ to get into aviation school, probably has enough IQ just to connect the dots. Now, I'm not saying he's involved at the highest levels, but I sometimes like when my see Mark Gamboa when he says si Cassie Ong, di ba parang ano siya, pwede siyang K-pop, ganun niya tumataas ang kilay ko. Medyo tumataas din ang kilay ko sa'yo, parang kawawa naman si Mr. Supra. But that doesn't ignore the facts of the case that this is a asymmetric power dynamic, to put it just
Mhm.
nice, right? So I am with you, brother, on that 100%. Now let's talk about the other interesting character here, Shimenot. What do you think is happening with Sara? Because our school of thought understanding is Sara is a poor copy of a poor original. It's like
Yeah.
she doesn't have even the humor, spontaneity of her dad. Like sablay talaga yung hearing. She cannot be funny. Nung nag-try maging sarcastic, Shimenot, sumablay ng big time, pinagtawanan lang siya. What is your read of Sara so far?
I've always said that I looked at the father Duterte as crazy. I look at Sarah as criminal. Like the way she thinks is more calculating. I think it's more calculating and it's more deliberate. Although the execution sometimes is sablay, like you said, but I think she's more devious. I think she's more vindictive. And if she ever runs for president and wins, that's going to be really scary. The way she's going to be doing things. Now, everyone's seen how much of a brat she is, a spoiled brat. And she did admit that the reason she's acting the way she does, she inadvertently admitted this, that she was saying in an interview, if I remember correctly, na when she grew up from the time she was born, her dad was mayor until today. So all her life, she was the princess. Nobody would go against her because of her dad. So nasanay siya that everyone around her was scared of her because of her dad. So she never knew another life. Therefore, now that she's being questioned, now that she's being grilled, she's not used to it. Diyan lumalabas na yung inner child mo na this is how you really react when you're put up against any kind of resistance. Yun na. And doon mo nakikita yung totoong Sara Duterte, that inner child, that inner brat, it comes out. And that's where it becomes dangerous because that inner brat or inner child has no sense of what yung alam mo yung what is right or wrong. It is more, this is what I want, I will do whatever I want to get it. Yon. Now honestly, Congress is going soft on her. They admitted it themselves. They should really just, if I were them, I'd give her a zero budget. But they're being nice. They're gonna give her a 700 million budget, like the budget of VP Lenny.
The
Fine.
Lenny but the Lenny budget is because I think tama dito si Ronald Llamas in a sense that kasi maraming din siyang projects na maraming may maraming tao na nakasalalay yung kanilang livelihood dyan. So if you just zero it, ang dami mawala ng trabaho eh. So this is not about Sara per se. It's about the institution. It's about some of the basic
Sure.
things they're doing. So I'm good with the Lenny budget for her so that people can see if she can do anything good with the Lenny level of budget because Lenny was able to do so much, so good, and so
Yeah.
transparent with that very limited budget. So actually, this is her chance to shine because she had so much money in debt and like sobrang underspending in terms of investment in facilities, sobrang bilis gumastos pagdating sa confidential fund. 146% efficiency rate. Like, this person
Yeah.
is Formula One of confidential fund spending.
Diba?
Crazy, insane, yeah.
And then you know what? For me, it's so amazing when you see the trolls on social media try to spin this around. That they're saying that Sarah's good with budgets, but she's the worst when it comes to budgets. But then again, I have to say, na I think majority kasi of the agencies are very similar to how Sarah does budgets. Yung out of the blue, magkano kayo lalagay natin this month? Sabi nila, kailangan natin ng mapuno ang 500 million budget. So 10 million dito, 20 million dito. Bakit 20? Kasi kulang eh. Kailangan na dagdagan dito ng 15 para mag-add up lang yan. I think really that's how they do budgets. It's very simple.
That's a very
And
good point, Chris. Sorry, if I can interject here because I want to
go.
come back again to Sarah, but again, to be fair, I do get the criticism or critique from some of our friends. I check Reddit, I check my comments, I check different sites. Na bakit di natin binigyan daw na tayo, the bloggers who are, I think, fighting for good governance. I think medyo kapos tayo in terms of scrutinizing budget of other departments na walang
Yeah.
kinalaman kay Sarah. I think we have to be honest na medyo nakulang tayong lahat. In a sense that, of course, we cannot study all departments, but I think we have to pay more attention to some probably dodgy practices. The PhilHealth scandal could be just the tip of the iceberg. So the PhilHealth scandal, we discussed that repeatedly on this podcast with Justice Carpio, among others. I'm proud of that. We discussed the Maharlika Fund. And then obviously ngayon, malaking issue itong gold na baka tayong, hindi ito palang golden era to, pero minus. Paalis yung gold dito sa Pilipinas. We have to figure out what on earth is going on. So I am listening to you folks when you ask me about what about the other side. Ayoko lang when the Duterte people use that to cover up for Sara. But let's go back to Sara. I just wanted to be clear with that na I am all for scrutinizing the budget of all departments. Kung sana lang may research team kami na 10 tao. I think people have to appreciate limited din yung mga ano namin. I mean, there's just so much we can pay attention to. You have been an expert in Alice Guo hearings and obviously we're all paying attention to Sara. But what is your take on BBM before we go back to Sara? Sorry about that digression.
Yeah, no, not at all. With BBM, for example, I do think that if I were, put it this way, if I were the political strategist of BBM, I would tell him slash your confidential fund and intelligence fund back to the 500 million that it used to be total. That will get the approval rating shooting up through the roof. Yeah, because he doesn't need it. He doesn't even use it. Okay? Now, they're using it randomly na lang just so that they can spend it. Here is the problem overall with government. They have this thinking that we need to spend the budget. Even when you talk to the congressmen approving the budget, they say we need to allocate the 6.35 trillion budget. We need to approve that. No, you need to lessen that. It has to be a balanced budget. The time for a balanced budget is now. The US is actually a good example of an economy that's about to implode because their debt is growing by $1 trillion. Was it $1 trillion a month or something? It was a ridiculous number. It was an unfathomable number. And the Philippines, we're following suit. We're going to be the next Argentina or the next Venezuela at the rate we're going. So, yun ang hindi ko maintindihan with how our officials are. They need to cut the budget. If I were Marcos, I would be telling all the agencies, cut your budget and increase the efficiency of every agency. Yun ang gagawin kong dalawa. And watch his approval rating go sky high.
Bro, I thought you were, I'm going to have a new name you're going to be Chris Milei-tan, Mr. Argentina, right? You wanna go I thought you were Mr. El Salvador, it's like, firing people on the spot. Now you're Argentina, my friend. What's going on?
Well, you know what? I mean, I like some of the things Javier Milei is doing. I mean, I don't
Mr.
disagree with some of
Presi.
his. Yeah, although some are a little bit drastic, but we'll see. Again, Argentina's at a point right now where nothing's working and they need to try something different. And if let's see if this is gonna work. This is basically a major surgical removal, and hey, take out the cancer, see if it works, and they stay alive, then great, or they're gonna die. But either way, they're dying. So, I agree with some of his tactics. Some are a little bit harsh, but some are could work.
This is what I appreciate, the diversity of view. That was a very libertarian Malay way, but bro, I appreciate it. In this diversity of views. So when it comes to BBM, what are the things that worry you? Because some people are saying, and this will bring us back to Sara, is that the momentum to impeach Sara is kinda not there anymore kasi ang lapit ng elections and you don't want to make Sara look like a victim. So some are looking about the plan B, potential plan B kung saan hindi ako nang nagsasabi yan is like, let's say someone like Romualdez will force a constitutional change after elections, dudurugin nila yung mga Dutertes kasi sa mga surveys, kulelat lahat ng mga Duterte, even si Digong nga, barely top 5 eh. Baste, Polong, not even within the range, di ba? So, such a climb down for Dutertes who were, who are like boasting they can have 3 candidates for
Yeah.
to get 1 through. So, but that should be worrying. If there's really such a plan B, then I think everyone should prepare also for the other side making some big moves next year towards constitutional change or bulldozering their way to 2028 elections, no matter how unpopular their candidate may be.
Richard, I think that would be political suicide if they try to change the constitution. If that's what is that what you're suggesting, that you believe Romualdez has as a plan B? I think that it would be a better move to try to just impeach Sara or
It's a
just to
speculation.
minimize her.
It's a speculation, and not me, because the idea is that Sandro is too young to take over, and they want someone in the interim to essentially keep the seat warm until Sandro is old enough. And then,
Yeah.
of course, make sure it's not a Duterte kasi yaya rin silang lahat pag Duterte.
Oo. Alam mo, ako, what the Marcoses are doing is masterful up to now. In terms of the takedown they're doing, in terms of how they're gaining the popularity. So, for me, I'm with Trillianos on this one na talagang Duterte, if you look at it's a triangle and it's triangular. You have the Dutertes, you have the Marcoses, and then you have the opposition. And then you're saying, oh, who do I know? If I can take down one, I'll take down the Dutertes because that's the real evil. Sobrang, man, he makes Marcos look like a freaking saint. Diba? So you have to be able to make sure you go for the kill, not literally, What I mean, but you know what I mean, go for the kill as in take down their
Job done. Yeah, the
yeah,
impeachment or something. Yeah.
yeah, political career, take them down. So far, they're on their way there and they just need that last blow to be able to do it. If they can do that skillfully, and we're gonna be okay. Now, here's the thing. Is Are they going to impeach Sara or not? I don't know. I think that it was good that Sara was bringing it up that you're planning to impeach me, so that makes them take a step back.
Empty.
But at the same time, it's so easy if I were in Congress to be able to say, we never had plans to impeach you, but you didn't attend 3 hearings. You disrespected us. You did this. You're forcing the hand. You're forcing us to impeach us.
You ask for it.
Impeach you. Yeah, you're asking for it. We had no plans, but after all the theatrics you did, I'm sorry, we will now impeach you. Diba? Ganon. And they will get the votes. And will it make a martyr out of Sara? I don't think it's enough. Look, there was
It
I
won't
think
work? You mean hindi bagay sa kanya maging martyr?
hindi kasi Sara herself does not look like a victim at all. She looks like a bully. I mean, diba? She's always been a little bit of a bully. So even the way she walked up to Congress and Senate, that's a bully in the make. Did not want to take the oath. Oh my God, you didn't want to take the oath in a plenary hearing. What is wrong with you? Diba? You saw that, right?
I'm not gonna recognize this. Kick Karen the whole Congress.
Yeah.
Pero sablay din kasi mga congressman nataranta sila sa kanya eh. She
well,
them. I'm not gonna recognize.
Alam mo, like, kasi naman, like, I said nga, kasi naman to si Kimbo, to begin with, ang hina niya naman kasi as a chairperson of the committee, that's why Sara was able to do what she did on the first time she appeared. And kailangan talaga medyo you have to, buti nga, dyan sina Abante, yan, matatapang yan, sina Abante, sina Acop, which is good. You need people like that. But what I want to know, I want to know your take on this. Do you believe that the Dutertes or Sara Duterte still has the numbers that you're seeing on the surveys that just came out?
Well, they have the Mindanao votes still behind them, and there's always going to be the liminal Vismin sympathy for them. But that's not a given. It depends on how you play it. And obviously, the one we didn't discuss is the rise of Tulfos. A
Mm.
triple Tulfo next year is almost a
Oh,
it's it's almost a foregone conclusion. The only question is who will top the Senate race. Statistically tied si Ben ngayon at Erwin for number 1, and they're healthily ahead of Tito Soto and the rest. So again, I won't be surprised there'll be another Robin Hood, out of the blue number 1. But hindi lang sigurado si Ben and Erwin. It's a question of number 1, number 2, or number 3, something like that, right? Unless something really crazy happens. So that just tells you that baka kakainin yung lunchbox nila ng iba, because the Tulfos have a Mindanao background, Zamboanga.
ah.
They apparently, Rafi Tulfo told me they have Ilocano background from the dad, and then their mom, who just passed away, God bless her soul, my Japanese background. I mean, and they're of course from Manila. So, I think these guys are quite flexible, and they play all cards. They can be populist, they can be malumanay, biglang gentleman effect, they can be slang. Kita tayo sa abandoned warehouse. Ganun, di ba? Raymart Santiago. Raymart Barreto. Kita
Yep.
tayo. Di ba? So, I think they have all of those elements together. So, if you're Dutertes, you won't take for granted yung tinatawag ko na populist voters. Yung voters,
Yeah.
hanap ng populist. So, we always talk about what populist to the voters, but you don't understand. There are voters who want that kind of leader. So, yeah, in that sense, they're vulnerable too. So, they cannot take this for granted. But ako, you always have to play safe. Kasi they're good in weaponizing any criticism of them to look as if it's an attack on Bisaya people, which is very unfair. It's like, if you criticize BBM, I don't say it's an attack on me, on Ilocanos. That's ridiculous. But that's how they do it. And may traction pa rin kasi bro, nakakainis naman talaga taga Manila na tao di ba? Imperial Manila talaga eh. So, I think it's easier for her to point her, not as a victim, but as a kind of the enemy of Imperial Manila. I don't think that's a very hard job for her to do, except she's just not competent yet. So,
Yeah.
yun lang. I mean, ikaw, what's your take?
Regarding that, one of the key strategies that I noticed that populist leaders like the Dutertes do is they divide the people. Yan, magaling dyan. So they did that first. The Digong did that by demonizing, saying that we're gonna kill all the drug addicts and ganyan, diba? Then they used that same strategy by saying the communists are going to take over, your communists, everyone's communist. Now they also did that with yan, mga taga Manila. Let's just go Mindanao, tayo na lang, iwan na natin ng Manila. As if naman they're gonna survive. My God, Lord. So yun yung style talaga ng mga populist leaders where they try to divide the people. And they try to say, us against them. Yung ganon. Now, with Tulfos, for me, they have the same populist style, but at the same time, medyo at least tempered yun. So, and they're not divisive. Yun ang nakita ko
And
naman.
not pro-EJK, and not pro-China, and
Right.
not pro-drug lords, and not
Oo.
pro-POGO. I mean, you can add the list.
Ang dami, 'di ba? So for me, right now the way I see it, I as much as I hate political dynasties, and God, please, I hope they all don't win. But if that means we're gonna be able to secure some sort of a presidency after 2028 that is not the Dutertes,
Duterte, yeah,
then so be it.
or at least there's an alternative. And speaking of alternative, I want to talk about Risa. I think Risa Hontiveros has been the hero of not only the moment and the month, but probably of the year. Whether it's Alice Guo, Kibuloy. We don't have time to discuss Kibuloy. We can discuss Kibuloy soon, probably, if there's an extradition update. That would be an interesting discussion. If you talk about even Sara, she has really been on them and against them and pushing very hard despite everything. And the thing with Risa is, thankfully, she made a very helpful intervention kanina, which I hope settles the dust. Kasi I don't want to put into trouble, but I just felt it was. They say, not me, fake news na, this thing by Trillanes and the rest, and even my own intervention na parang ginagaslight daw namin si Lenny, questioning her, her No, that was not about it. It was about the timing, the optics. Ito na nga, pinapa-impeach ni Trillanes si Sara, tapos imimit mo lang yun. So, and I'm glad that Risa came in and just said, naintindihan ko where Trillanes is coming from. Not necessarily saying, I completely agree with everything he does, but I understand na kung ikaw si Trillanes or even De Lima or anyone who has been hurt and threatened, their life threatened by the Dutertes, I'm not sure that's the most decent thing to do, to be honest. And if you want to talk about Bible, there's a lot of verses on social justice and also that there's a time for war and peace we can talk about. So please lang don't selectively get verses there and to make it look okay. But having said that, I think Riza just did the right thing and said, wag na natin pag-usapan, eye on the ball, I understand where Trillanes is coming from, and he's my ally. Tapos. That's it. And I think that just shows you she's stepping up, right? And what is your read of Risa? I mean, for me, very
Um,
impressive trajectory niya.
Sana Risa also said that, and Lenny is also my ally. Para lang to show that there's no rift.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's maganda na mag-picture silang tatlo na lang, di ba? Yun ang suggest ko. Just meet together, have a picture, tapos na, united front, everything
Yeah.
fine.
Pero you know what? I've always said nga that the problem, and I think we have the same thoughts on this one. Na pag alam mo, pag ang tao ay they I was gonna make a video about it, but I haven't posted it kasi I don't have so much time eh. So I was gonna that's why it's good that we're doing this kasi I was going to say na alam mo, hindi pwedeng sinasanto ang isang politiko. Hindi pwede. Like everyone has to be cannot be above criticism. And I know you share the same view, and I saw Trillanes make that same comment, and it's true. And if you are now not allowing yung pinuno mo na mag-criticize, you are becoming the very same type of person that you despise that support Duterte, that support BBM, or that support Kibuloy. You are the exact same person that you despise. And that's where the problem lies. So if there's anybody watching today na nagalit kay Trillanes o kaya unfollow at sinabi na hindi na ako makikinig kay Trillanes, hindi ko na siya iboboto, rethink that because you're reacting with emotion, not with logic. All right? And remember, no one is perfect. And there is nothing wrong with expressing an opinion. That's all he did. And mind you, when I saw what happened with Sara and with Lenny, ako personally, I wouldn't have done what Lenny does. I don't have the bandwidth
You
or
can
the
politely say no, di ba? I mean, there's a polite
yeah,
Christian
I'm
way of
like,
saying
no
no also,
thanks.
yeah?
Listen, no thanks. Or at best, hi, hello. Yeah, sorry. Or ito pala. If I were Lenny and then Sara came over and wanted to meet, first thing I would say, hey, diretso na dapat niya si Sara. Hey, Sara, I'm just curious. Why did you want to meet with me? I mean, you've said so many bad things about me. And you've criticized me. You've said all these things, and I'm just wondering why are we meeting? And smile. Right? Just out of curiosity, let's get that out of the way. Let's get the elephant out of the room. Let's not be all nice,
No,
nice,
no,
and
bro. I mean, apparently, I had Sonny Trinas on this show yesterday. He said there was a 1 hour conversation, and his contention it was coordinated. Barry Gutierrez is saying it was not coordinated. So I'm not in position to make a final judgment on this. Ang point ko lang is, I think the PR around it was not the best, just to be honest about it. And I think some people are also not looking at the PR, public relations, or optics of this, which is nice. So you have to understand if you're Sonny Trillanes, who could be killed by the Dutertes any moment for everything, you're not gonna feel good about it. And he has every right. He earned that through year after year after year of risking his life. Just show some respect to the guy. I know you want him to show respect, but doesn't mean that he has no right to express himself. But again, I'm doing this because I want us to move forward. So moving forward, bro, what do you think are the things to make the pink movement more solid and also to get rid of some of this toxicity and some of this fanaticism? Because as I said, if you treat your politicians, no matter how good and all, as saints or idols, then any criticism or any critic, no matter how legitimate, is automatically a villain. And that's a recipe for political disaster and alienating everyone else.
okay, so Richard, I'm going to disagree on the point of its political disaster because, as a matter of fact, that is what makes the Duterte so powerful at one point, is because they were above the law, they were above criticism. Anyone who tried to criticize them, all the rabid followers will attack anyone that tried to criticize. And that's the difference. The following is idolatry, which is it's like a very hard support na hindi mo mabibreak. Now, versus Lenny's support, I call that a soft support where, we're allowed to criticize her. We're allowed to say if she screws up, we're going to call her out on it. That's soft. Eh. And that's, I think, the power of these leaders is that hard support where they demand and command that you follow without any question. And that's a recipe that actually made them successful. Now the thing
At
is,
the
okay,
expense of
having
the country, at the expense of democracy, at the expense of
yes,
everything. That's what I mean by political disaster. Of course, it was you if
absolutely.
you're a demagogic populist guy. No problem. Of course, I agree with you.
But see, so how do you solve this, right? Because now you have a leader that is open to criticism, right? And I understand. Okay, so I'm trying to understand also those people that support Lenny na natatakot sila kasi na baka pag kinriticize si Lenny, bumaba yung kanyang political stock. But that's where they're wrong. I believe that strength comes from the fact that you can accept criticism and still be able to plow forward. And I don't think it affects Lenny at all. What's happening though right now because of this bickering is that it's actually putting the spotlight on Sara, which is what she wants. I don't want to give any more air to Sara because everything she's doing is to try to get her name in the headlines. This is one of the reasons she did it, to get again in the headlines. Alam mo, matalino yan si Sara in that sense. Ha? She's doing this. She's doing anything to cause shit and get people to start talking, that not taking the oath, the, doing this with her hand, yung mga ganyan. Those are all very orchestrated. So that optics-wise, man, you're gonna talk about her good or bad. Remember, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad, it's still publicity and she wants that. She is doing everything. Remember that before all of this, her strategy was different. Nakita mo yung shift ng strategy niya eh. Before, no comment, shut up, never react to anything. Now, she's on full mode attack. Nagbago yung strategy. Yeah, this is after they saw the ratings. And they said, oh, we need a different tactic na. Bumababa ratings sa atin. Then they're gonna see, will this work? Will it improve the ratings or not? If the ratings continue to keep sliding down, then they're gonna shift again, maybe on overdrive. But if they see that it improved, then maybe they know what they should do next.
Chris, I have a
That's what I'm afraid
slightly
of.
different take in a sense that obviously Sara, of course, was there for political mileage. The same way that Senator Revilla was there, the same way that Abalos was there. So I think showing those people doesn't make it any okay. Ako, I think there's no question about decency and good intentions of Lenny, and this is, of course, a religious fiesta. I completely respect our folks in Naga. I absolutely respect your values and all of that. No issues about it. Ang akin lang, the issue about Sara using this to divide the forces of good, unfortunately, is both sides of this debate are using it to say, siyempre, sabi ng iba, kayo kasi ni Trillanes, pinalaki nyo, tuloy ganyan. Tapos sasabihin ng kabila, kayo kasi, ba't kayo nag-meeting to begin with? Sana nag-third. Ako, I have a positive spin to all of this, in a sense that, actually not the positive spin, actually silver lining, I would say. I think the silver lining is na gets ng DDS, no one from Kakamping will be in a position to team up with them. The backlash is just too much. That if even someone like Lenny, who's the most admired person, arguably, among the whole opposition alternative bloc here, if even she has been subjected to this kind of response, right? Some unfair and some fair, I would say, or legitimate. I think it's a good message to the DDS. If you thought you're gonna slice some of the kakampings to your side, it's not gonna happen. They're gonna get canceled by their fellows, right? So I think this back and forth may have a silver lining in it. It has made it clear na no, even if galit ka kay Marcos, it doesn't mean you have to go with Duterte. So the enemies of your enemy could be also your enemy. And in this case, that's the contention. They're still your enemy because they're enemy of democracy. So I think I still see a silver lining in this. I also see a silver lining that it allowed for Risa to come in and be the arbiter and end it. It allowed us to express our frustrations kung tingin natin may pagkakulang yung isang camp or hindi. Because Lenny was very clear on not teaming up with Marcos. She shut it down immediately when Trillanes proposed. So obviously there's a little bit of bad blood and disagreement there. So now the other side is asking, oh, you have to be also clear where you stand on Sara. So for me, parang relasyon yan, di ba, bro? I mean, inevitable, there are gonna be tensions building up, disagreements. And then there's a little bit of a cariño brutal. And I think you can come back even stronger after this. So ako, my hope is the pink movement, progressive movement will come out stronger out of this, brouhaha.
I really hope you're right on this one. But ano lang, sana lang that the kakampinks or the yellows, whichever, sana lang whoever got upset, I hope they are able to be a little bit more introspective and see that both sides have a point. And it's okay. It's okay to express your opinion, and it's okay. Listen, you can't control what Lenny does. You can't control what Trilliana says. Bottom line. And that's okay. And that's what makes things stronger. That's what makes a country stronger. And that's how it should be. That we can disagree and it's okay. It's not naman a matter of sorry, I'm about to say it's not a matter of principle. Kind of it's a matter of principle to a certain extent. Pero it doesn't mean that there's one parang bad player or bad actor between the two. It's just different ways
Different
of dealing with
perspectives on
things.
this issue. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
yun lang yan. So, it's different kasi when you talk about the Dutertes, that's a bad actor eh. That's somebody who really wanted to take down the democracy, who wanted to take down the Philippines, who wanted us to be, invaded by China, by criminality. I mean, that's different. In this case, those two have the same objective of making a stronger Philippines, fighting for democracy. They just had a different way of dealing with certain things. That's it. And you have to respect that and allow our leaders to be able to make their own decisions, good or bad, wrong or right, and learn from it. Nobody's perfect. Pinoy made a lot of mistakes, but he also did a lot of good. And some people criticize him, and it's okay. Ganun din.
Thank you, bro. That was on that very positive note. This is how I've been wanting these conversations to go. I know that a lot of people are still hating on some of my earlier posts, but believe me, I'm already in the moving forward mode, and I don't want to move forward just by moving forward. I want to move forward once I feel you have processed things enough so that you move forward as a better, stronger, and that's the key word: self-awareness, introspection. On that introspective mode, Guro Chris Chris Mileitan, my friend. Argentina. Thank
You
you,
know, I
brother.
know I know that you don't like Millet, and that's okay. See, that's what I
But
mean.
he's fascinating. I mean, I'm fascinated by those characters, right? I'm just saying,
Yeah, with the
So I'm not a
chainsaw, I
hater.
thought that
I'm
was a
not a
little bit
hater. I'm
crazy.
just fascinated. I'm just
Yeah.
fascinated. Because I have friends in Madrid when he was doing his book talk a few months ago, and they said,
Oh no
what is this
way.
guy doing? His country's falling apart. He's doing a book talk here in Madrid. I mean, it's like, but Argentina is a beautiful place. Even if it's like in economic crisis, it still has one of the lowest crime rates in Latin America. That's how classy Argentinians are, right? Kahit
Wow.
bagsak na economy, their crime rates are among the lowest. Complete incomparable some of their neighbors. I'm not gonna mention which neighbors. Baka makancel tayo dyan. Thank you so much, Chris. I hope this will be a beginning of more of like this. I think we have to do our own version of me and Ronald, me and you once in a while. At least once a month, let's do this, bro. But I hope in the coming weeks, in early October, we can catch up again. Wherever in the world, I think we can arrange around this time so we can make it work. The response has been amazing. It's almost almost 100% universal positive. Because I think people like itong medyo malumanay. Kasi pag kasama ko yung iba, medyo magulo ako eh. But I think with you, medyo mas malumanay ako. Like, chill lang ako. Chill lang, bro. Chill lang. Just chill. No? So I think this was good. This was great. Thank you so much, brother. And talk to you
Thanks.
soon. So this will go live on both of our channels. So please, Chris, where can people follow you?
So
On
they
your
can follow
platform?
me on YouTube. So long format yan sa YouTube on I am Kristan.
Right.
And letter I, letter M Kristan on Twitter. That's also I am Kristan. And TikTok as well. TikTok short form naman yan. And Facebook, Coach Kristan.
Coach Kristan, maraming salamat. And talk to you soon. I'll send you this file very shortly, brother.
Salamat, Richard. Good talking to you again, bro.
As always,
Okay,
brother.
bye-bye.